We're making junk journal tags today. I have giant manila shipping tags that I'm going to be decorating and making into a mini book. I'm using sandpaper, sequins, and seam binding. It's going to be so much fun. I also have a new product to debut, and I can't wait to show you. Here we go, y'all. Well, hello and welcome to Pink Paper Peppermints. My name is Melissa and I'm so glad you're here. Today we are working with these giant manila shipping tags, and I'm actually selling these on my Instagram feed. So if you would like a pack, just DM me your PayPal email address and I will send you an invoice for those. Let me know how many you would like. It's US shipping only. There's 10 in a pack for $5.95 plus shipping. And if you're not on Instagram, you can just email me your PayPal email address and let me know how many of those you would like, and I will send you an invoice. When I run out, I will put in the description below that they're sold out. So the first thing we're going to do is use some matte medium from Golden, and I'm actually going to use a different adhesive later that I like a little better, but I'm using the matte medium here, and I'm using the cover from this mini book from my Made With collection kit, and I just love this cover so much, and it's just about the right size for this tag. It's a little bit too short. We're going to add something to the top in just a minute. We're just going to trim off the edges and glue that down. The top part, I'm actually going to use a scrap of yellow gingham from that same collection, the Made With Love collection, and I'm just going to add that to the top part. And the first thing that I'm going to do is coat my tag with the Golden matte medium, and what I've found with that is that if you coat the tag and then also coat the back of the paper that you're gluing down, you get a lot less bubbling and wrinkling, although the matte medium is kind of liquidy compared to what I'm going to use later, so I still felt like it took a long time to dry. One thing that I wanted to show you too was, you see that I'm brushing it on the back of this paper here. This is printed paper and it's not smearing or smudging at all, and that's the Epson Durabright inks that I use, and that's one of the reasons that I love them. Y'all ask me a lot about what inks that I use, and that is why I love that ink, because I can use wet media with it and it doesn't smear or smudge or run. So I'm just laying my piece of paper down here on my tag and smoothing it out. If you have a bone folder or an old credit card, that will help you to smooth out the bubbles and the wrinkles a little better than your hand. And then I'm just going to trim around the edge of my tag and add another pattern paper to the back, just the same way that I did that first one. You can see that I've done that here. I used some of that vintagey wallpaper pattern paper. And now I want to show you a fun trick to do some distressing to my tag. I'm using this medium grit sandpaper, and this is also helpful if you've got little edges of the paper that maybe didn't get trimmed as well with the scissors. I'm just going to take this sandpaper, and first I'm going to rub down the sides of the edges to get any extra little pieces of paper off, and then I'm actually going to take some of the color and pattern off the top of the pattern paper, and this just gives it a vintage kind of worn, distressed look. And because I like a bright, colorful vintage look rather than the brown, I don't like to use the brown inks and things, so using sandpaper is a way for me to give my bright colors kind of a vintagey, worn look. So now I'm going to use this mini rickrack to cover up the seam between my two papers. So cute. I got that at Hobby Lobby. And then I want to use my We Are Memory Keepers hole punch to punch a hole in my tag, and I thought that I didn't put any adhesive over the tag reinforcer, and I thought I was just going to cut that part of the paper right off and my reinforcer would show, and you will see here in a minute that it didn't really work out like that. So I'm going to suggest an alternative method to you, because when I went to cut it out, it kind of ripped and tore. So not too good a result, but that's okay. We can always make it pretty. And what I decided to do was take a scrap of pattern paper here from my collection, and I'm just going to trim out a little rectangle piece and wrap it around the top of the tag and attach that. I'm going to sew that on with a zigzag stitch, which you'll see here in a minute, instead of gluing it. And then I'll just punch my hole right through there and it will be all fixed. As you can see here, this is my final tag, and you can see some of the distressing that I did there at the bottom. You can see those white edges of the paper, which I really love showing through my tiny rickrack. And there you can see the zigzag stitch that I attached my paper to cover up that torn paper. And I've got that pretty pink wallpaper on the back and some seam binding ribbon at the top. Well, before we jump into our next project, I just wanted to remind you that we are in week 2 of the My Heart of Thanksgiving journaling event on Instagram, and we would love to have you join us. You can go to pinkpaperpeppermints.com and download your free starter kit there. Look for the Made with Love collection. We are having so much fun on Instagram. Just the community, the camaraderie, sharing each other's journals and projects and what God has been speaking to our hearts. It has really, really been something special. Even if you're seeing this after the event, I would love for you to come to the shop and download that kit for free. You're welcome to join anytime and post your layouts on Instagram. So the next project that we're working on is an accordion book. It is going, for me, I'm going to use mine as a Thanksgiving memory book. And it's super, super easy to do with these giant tags. So I'm using this brown gingham paper from the collection. I've cut it to size for the tags, and I'm just going to be gluing it to the front and back. Only this time, instead of using the matte medium, I am actually using Fabrifix fabric glue. And I know that sounds strange, but it works so well on paper. It dries really, really fast, and it doesn't buckle my paper, which I love. So definitely try the Fabrifix if you glue paper a lot. I think you will really like it. So here you can see that I've glued both sides of the tag. I've glued the paper, I should say, to both sides of the tag, and I've distressed the edges with sandpaper like I did before, and it looks really good on the gingham. I think that white coming through looks really cute. And so now what I'm going to do is do a couple of panels on the inside of my book, and I'm using this cocoa brown polka dot paper, and I've cut it to about 3.5 by 7 to fit on this paper. And then I'm going to make my accordion fold paper a nice long sheet of paper. It's going to be the same height, which is about 7 inches, and it's going to be 10.5 inches long. And the way that I'm going to do that is I'm going to take 2 pieces of pattern paper that are the same. I've printed them the same on both sides, and I'm going to overlap them about 1/2 inch and glue them together. Now I'm going to have a seam on one of my accordion pages because of that, but I plan on decorating it, and I don't think that it will show too much. But I'm going to overlap it about 1/2 inch. So once I glue those 2 pages together, overlapping that 1/2 inch, I'm going to score it all the way across. And I'm not going to give you all the measurements here, but I will put those in the description below. But basically what we're trying to do is create 6 3-inch pages. And we're going to have a little flap at the beginning and a little flap at the end to attach that to the inside of our covers. So you can see I've done the scores here, and then I'm just going to fold up my pages, and then we're going to attach them to the covers. So there's my accordion fold, and now here is my inside panel piece, and I've already laid some adhesive down on that little 1/2 inch strip there. So I'm just going to line up my panel piece right next to that 1/2 inch strip and then press it down into the panel piece. And now that's attached to the front, and we're going to do the same thing on the back. I'm going to line up my panel piece. I've already got a strip of adhesive down on that little flap, and then I'm just going to turn it over and press it down into the back of the panel piece. And now I'm ready to attach those panel pieces to the inside of my covers. So I'm just going to add a little bit of adhesive to them and line it up, leaving about 1/4 inch on the edge. And I'm going to do the same thing in the back. You just want to be sure that you line the 2 tags up as you're doing this to make sure that it's not crooked, so that they're even when you put those panel pieces down. And I'm going to press that down into the cover, and now my accordion pages are all ready, and they're ready to decorate. Now, if you wanted to, before you glue those panels down, you could add some ribbon to them to create a ribbon tie. For me, I just decided to wrap my ribbon around the front cover. And so here is my front cover. I've wrapped the brown satin ribbon around it. I added some trim to the top. I didn't put any trim in the back hole, though I may still do that. And I added a doily and a little crochet square that I made and some word art from the kit. I just sewed that onto the crochet square, and then I used the Fabrifix to attach the crochet square to the front cover. And then on the inside, I created a little pocket with a tag from pieces from the kit. And I plan on just making a little note there of our 2019 Thanksgiving dinner together and just putting some notes there. This is going to be kind of like a little memory book for me for Thanksgiving this year. And that is it. The accordion book is complete. And I think this is so easy and so fun. This would be a great gift too, maybe for the hostess of your Thanksgiving dinner if it's not you. So, okay, now we are going to make one more tag, and then I have a new product to share with you. We're making this tag from my clear stamp set. I have about 5 of these left, so if you want one, you can still DM me at Instagram or email me your PayPal address, and I will send you an invoice for those if I still have them by the time you email me. So I'm just using this aqua ink, and I'm going to stamp on my tag. I'm creating just kind of a little design that I want to type over, and I'm going to show you a little trick to do that. I'm using the small stamps to go on top and bottom of the larger stamp there, and I just love this design. I hand drew this from some vintage wallpaper, and you can use punches for this, which I'm showing you there, if you have one that matches up, and that scalloped one did match up for me on the larger stamp, but for the smaller stamps, they didn't. So I needed to just trace around it, and it doesn't have to be a good circle. Really, we're just trying to mask out our stamp because we're going to type over this. And for this particular tag, I am typing the Psalm 23, the scripture that we're studying in our Heart of Thanksgiving event, and I'm just typing that out, and it's messy and it makes smudges and I get a fingerprint, and I love every bit of it. So I'm pulling off my mask now, and you can see how pretty that is. It covers up your stamp so you don't get the smudgy typewriter ink on your actual design, but it's just kind of all around it, which I think is really pretty. I love kind of mixing the vintage messiness with the pretty pink and blue, and in this case I added sequins as well. I just glued some sequins on and some pom-pom trim at the bottom, and you can see that that is it on that tag. Super easy and super quick. Well, now I want to tell you about my brand new products because you have been enjoying these giant manila tags so much, and I have so many more ideas to share with you on them, but I know that I'm going to be selling out of these. I thought it would be fun to have a printable version. So I've come up with 2 kits to start with, but I have so many more ideas, and the first one is ledger paper. As you see here, there are 10 different ledger paper tags on 5 different PDFs with manila paper that can be printed on the back. And then I also have a printable manila shipping tag kit that has the giant tag and several sizes all the way down to a tiny little itty bitty mini tag. And these are so much fun. I think you're really going to enjoy them, and I'm going to show you so many more ideas with them. So if you can't purchase those giant tags from me, or maybe I'm sold out by the time you see this video, you will be able to go to my shop at pinkpaperpeppermints.com and get those there. Well, if you enjoyed this video, I think you will really like this video. It's all about weaving journaling tags. I give you all the instructions on how to weave a pretty little tag to put in your journal. Thank you so much for being here. If you like this video, would you give it a thumbs up or share it with a crafty friend? And thank you so much to those of you who have done that. It means so much to me. I really, really appreciate it. I hope you have a week filled with peace and grace, and I'll see you next time here on Pink Paper Peppermints.